Sometimes I type out a title and I just go, should I become a doctor like my parents wanted me to be? This week, Juventus players found themselves in the White House with US President Donald Trump. And given he was saying, well, any words whatsoever, they found themselves in hot water.
Would a woman make your team, fellas? Tell me, you think? You're being nice.
Donald Trump just dragged Weston McKennie into a transgender athlete conversation. The only agenda I should be hearing about Juventus is that they're wank. Yeah, look, listen, it's crazy out here, but I'm here to break things down. What the hell is the Donald Trump Juventus situation? It's a totally normal news day, this one, innit? I'm not gonna lie. It's just so stupid. And stupidity is exactly what you find on this channel. So if you enjoy that, then make sure to subscribe. 750,000 subscribers, I'll be testing out my knee. But the first question I actually want to ask in this situation is, why the hell were these lot even at the White House? Who invited Juventus specifically? Why are you there? It's like you loaded into the wrong cutscene in a video game, and now you've got to watch a guy with a green afro on GTA talk about how he wants to steal the entire GDP of Western Venezuela. The truth is, they're here, stood in the White House behind Donald Trump because of their US tour they're embarking on during the Club World Cup. A tournament that has already, after about a week, managed to provide the most batshit crazy storylines of any tournament of all time. From 10-0 victories to giving away tickets, from mental entrances to Mamelodi Sundowns bringing an attendance of their family members. I could go on and on. It's been absolutely ridiculous. But easily now, the most mental thing that has happened is me watching as Juventus players like Weston McKennie, Timothy Weah, and Dusan Vlahovic stand behind Donald Trump, just chatting the most in the White House. The state of that country, honestly, I know ICE will be running into that room thinking Timothy Weah's not American and realizing they've never actually looked at a map of Africa before.
There is no such country as Liberia.
Now, whilst this is a weird collaboration, right, there's an element that you would be able to understand. The Club World Cup is happening. The World Cup is happening in America next year. If Juventus had won the Club World Cup, for example, or won anything for that matter, you'd understand with an American presence why they would be there. But Juve haven't won anything, and I sure as hell know the US men's national team haven't won anything recently either. They'd be lucky if they won a one-team football match, let alone a two-team one. The problem, though, that actually developed from this situation is unsurprisingly what Donald Trump decided to say. And that's that he wants to take serious action on Iran, otherwise, well, probably join in with bombing of Iran. Because, well, he's a president of a major country, and bombing innocent civilians and families from the Middle East is what presidents of big countries usually do. But on top of that, also asking Juventus's players whether they would play with women in their team, or more specifically, transgender athletes.
Would a woman make your team, fellas? Tell me, you think? You're being nice. What do you think? Think a woman could make the team? General managers, what do you think?
Difficult. We have a very good women's team now.
You do have, right?
Yeah.
But they should be playing with women, right? You know.
Now, already, straight off the bat, with this entire clip, uncomfortable, okay? Every single one of them players thinks they're here to talk about them playing flipping Esperance Tunis or something. They've definitely had absolutely no idea that this was going to be the line of questioning. Weston McKennie's face is genuinely a picture when asked about it. Shout out to Timothy Weah, who just outright says, yeah, he'd happily have them play.
You think?
Meanwhile, one of the coaches or one of the higher-ups, I can't remember, says instead that Juventus, like a bit of like a sit-on-the-fence answer, is that Juventus have a really good women's team instead. This picture, though, of Weah and McKennie staring at him after he's brought all of this up and kind of thrown them under the bus, though, is genuinely incredible. They genuinely might actually hate this man. And unsurprisingly, like I kind of mentioned a second ago there, their reaction suggested that they weren't prepared for this line of questioning. And when Timothy was asked about it by the US media in a little interview after, he gave his thoughts on the matter.
It was all a surprise to me, honestly. They just told us that, we have to go, and, I had no choice but to do so.
Honestly, on the topic of, not wanting to put politics into football, which is always, talked about, Donald is exactly like the type of person that a keep politics out of football person does. They then actually put politics into football that they agree with like 0.4 seconds later. Either way, I'm sure given the reaction, Donald knows that he might have gone with the wrong crowd here, so he'll be trying to get Timothy back on side with a personal message.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Speaking of onside, by the way, one man man that's barely ever is Darwin Núñez. Imagine someone like him in this situation. Shout out to the likes of Weston McKennie and Timothy Weah, because I think they did well under a huge amount of pressure live on TV. If this was Darwin Núñez, fam, he'd bug out. He'd stop responding. He'd jump out of the nearest window. 6 years ago, Federico Gatti was a bricklayer in the 5th division of Italian football. Now look at him, chilling with Donald Trump whilst he decides whether he's going to commit heinous war crimes on countries in the Middle East. What a journey. If you're like a kid, yeah, in like 50 years or something, and you open like a history textbook and you see coop miners next to Donald Trump, what the hell are you thinking? To be fair, Donald Trump's used to being next to miners, so it's actually... Donald Trump doesn't realize who he's got in office, by the way, with Dusan Vlahovic around. Give him a big red button, bro, he won't keep any shot on target. He'll have you blowing up half of Naples by accident, I'll tell you that for facts. He could be seen here accidentally pressing a big red button that tests out nuclear weapons on the White House kitchen staff. Meanwhile, someone that would have actually wanted to be in that room is Christian Pulisic, left devastated at the fact that he plays for Milan instead and realizing he didn't get the call up. He'd done that Donald Trump celebration about 6 months ago or whenever it was, and the US have completely fallen apart as a footballing nation. I know that there's a correlation there somewhere. It's like he did that and they lost all of their brain cells, like by osmosis. Oh, I'm gonna have Trump supporters annoyed at me in the comment section if there's any subscribed to. I heavily doubt there's any subscribed to me at this point already. Oh no, sorry man. Fucking, I'll stun them with like a GCSE foundation maths paper. That will do the job. Be fair, my name is 4/5 Iran, so I probably actually do need to be careful. I just can't believe we're living in a world where Donald Trump actually knows what the Calciopoli scandal is now. My main thing really here is, well, okay, it's not the main thing, but there's a lot of main things. But one thing that I do find strange is I just think it's really unfair to put these players in this sort of position. They're not paid to be political activists. They're not paid to be politicians. They're not paid to be diplomats, and they're not paid to agree with whatever your politics are as a president. There's no world in which someone like Weston McKennie, Timothy Weah, God bless him, Dusan Vlahovic, should be in a situation where, like, now, just by association, they feel like they're part of two massive, like, I mean, they're not even just social, like, issues necessarily. I guess the sort of transgender athletes in sport issue is more of like a sporting and social issue, but something as important as, you know, arms or the act of declaring war on another country or simply bombing the shit out of it, which I know is what the US are used to do. And look, listen, I live in the UK. We are just as bad. We probably do it in a more sneaky way though. You know, I just think that's massively unfair to put them in like a point of history. It's also just like, I guess, almost delusion as well that they'd all just wholeheartedly agree, especially given the different like demographics of people that you've got behind you that come from very different backgrounds. Like, yes, 2 of them represent the US men's national team, but even then, they're players who have got backgrounds from completely different nations. Like Timothy Weah is what, Liberian, and I think Jamaican. I actually don't know what Weston McKennie's background is. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not saying like they have different opinions because they're African or Caribbean or whatever. You're likely to get different opinions based on the wide variety of nationalities that are stood behind you. And again, like, they just wanted to do some sightseeing, man. They're just here to play in a football tournament that you've helped organize, and now they're part of both massive social and potential war-related issues that your country's about to delve itself into. You could tell they were all uncomfortable and A, didn't want to talk about it at the very least, or B, just flatline disagree with your politics or your viewpoint, certainly in regards to these issues. I mean, Timothy Weah just outwardly just didn't give him the response that he wanted in relation to transgender athletes at the very least. Dusan Vlahovic just wants to play football. We don't want to watch him do that, obviously, get me, but I like the fact that he has the spirit to do it. There's an argument to say, like, for me, right, you know, as I said, I'm from the UK. We are, like, we've not got a great history, guys, in terms of stuff that we've done. The UK is also the home to some amazing people. Some brilliant people have come out of the United Kingdom. It's not necessarily a bad place or anything like that, yeah, but there's a lot of things in history that the UK have done that are bad. Even right now, do I agree with the UK selling arms to a nation that has bombed 6 different countries, not out of retaliation, but, like, instigated bombing 6 separate countries in just 3 years? Do I agree with us paying our taxpayers' money, like we as a collective UK population are paying to sell arms to a country that's doing that? No, not even slightly. But I wouldn't want a Bere Eze to just randomly be in the room when we all decide to do that and he didn't know it was going to happen beforehand. If he feels very strongly about that, whether he agrees with me or disagrees and wants to be involved in that debate, then he should be well within his rights to, and footballers are political. political at times. They do come out and speak on social matters or matters of conflict, but it shouldn't really just be sprung upon them. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm also not saying, like, I'm actually one of those people that keeping politics out of stuff, I totally understand. There's probably people that don't want me to talk about politics in a YouTube video because YouTube is their escape. And that's why I'm trying to do it in a relatively light-hearted way. I'm not being like, oh, you're a bad person for agreeing with this politician, or you're a bad person for agreeing with this politician. I have my own views, whatever. I, for example, have personally a lot of love for the transgender community, because if you don't think that you are the same person as when you were born, what is it my decision to judge you and tell you how to treat your own body? Does it get a little bit murky when it comes to things like testosterone levels in sport? Yeah, maybe. But every athlete who's good at a sport has some sort of physical or biological advantage that makes them good at that sport. We're not banning Michael Phelps because he had like crazy levels of, what was it? He never produced lactic acid or something, which gives him a massive advantage when it comes to swimming compared to everybody else. We don't go, oh yeah, his biology's a bit mad, so let's just kick him out of there. I understand it's a talking point, but either way, life is pretty difficult if you're transgender at the moment. Just be nice. Be nice to people. They're not trying to get in your way. I don't want to try and get in their way. Just let them live their lives. But politics kind of is everything. I do think good causes can be shared through the medium of sport or through the medium of art, and it not get in the way of the sport that you're watching. You don't have to turn off the channel just because a player takes the knee, for example. If it really irks you, just put the game on like 2 minutes later, or shut your eyes, man. Oh no, what are you gonna do if you see a guy kneeling? Like, it's not that deep, you know. Whatever the situation, both can coexist at the same time. I think what I do disagree with, and that's my overall point of this video, is we shouldn't be stun grenading footballers into random situations and spawning them into situations that could determine how the year goes for a lot of people on this earth when they clearly were not prepared for that situation that they ended up finding themselves in. That is unfair on the Juventus players that were involved, and I hope they're not going to receive backlash for things that they said or maybe chose not to say in that environment, because they shouldn't have been there. That, though, is my thoughts on the matter. The overall consensus is it's fucking stupid. The Club World Cup, man, has just produced some ridiculous shit, bro. I'm gonna be so real. Yeah, man, it's all mad. Join me again next week when Victor Gyökeres decides the overall planet space program for the next 25 years or some shit. If you have enjoyed this video, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves. What is the title of this video, bro? Flipping.